They said, don't like it, don't buy it. And that's exactly what gamers have done. Now, these companies like Ubisoft and various others that went woke are going broke. Today's video comes from the Yellow Flash. His channel will be linked in the description so you can go check him out and support him. Watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of what's happening right now and how this is going to transform media and every other institution going forward as more men stand up and say, we won't take it anymore. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
I think 2024 is probably the worst year Ubisoft has ever had. They've had a lot of bad press lately. Even yesterday, everybody was talking about how they disbanded the team that created Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which is, from what I've seen and heard, a great game. They just dropped that price down a little bit more. I might pick it up, actually, because it looks fun, and I like games that have that Metroidvania feel. And apparently this one is an amazing Metroidvania game. And I would love to check it out, but I've got a lot of other stuff to play. It is on my list. I probably will get to this game eventually. I just wait for a good sale. I mean, I might as well at this point. I'll wait till it's like $20 because it's still like $40. Eventually, I'll be able to get it for $20, probably even $10, and then I'll pick it up. Probably for the Switch, if I can. That would be my preferred place to play it. But all this aside, they're trying to get some good news stories. This isn't going to help them. I guess they released an NFT game called Champions Tactics. I didn't even know about this. This just dropped with no press. What they're focusing on, though, at least media cycle-wise, to try to get some positive news is stuff like this. 16 years later, I want to put a focus on that because you're going to see the same thing with another game in a minute. 16 years later, Ubisoft says it's still making Beyond Good and Evil. Oh, really? Somehow I don't know if that's true or not because it's been 16 years. But it's funny now, finally, after years of saying, oh, Assassin's Creed, multiple versions, everyone will put a game out every year, and all these live service games that nobody wants. Now we're going back to the well and grabbing up something people actually have been asking for. So this, to me, I wonder if they're even making this, because this would be a single-player game. And Ubisoft doesn't seem to have much interest in games like this anymore. Beyond Good and Evil is a great game, but it came out 16 years ago. Oh, but funny, now X-Defiant is dying. You're losing money on your Star Wars license. Assassin's Creed's not doing well. Prince of Persia, just you put it out to die, basically. But now we'll put this out to get people excited about the brand again. And it doesn't stop here. They announced they're working on a Rayman game. Where the hell was this 10 years ago? I love the Rayman games, especially the last two, which were masterpieces, in my opinion. Origins and Legends, those games are fantastic. Great platformers. Fantastic games. And then they just put the franchise out to die. The last time I saw Rayman was in some animated Ubisoft project. I think it was that NFT project or something. Some stupid thing they were doing, and there's like animated scenes of Rayman doing blow. Like, that's not what I want to see. Can you, instead of making him into a joke, can you just make a good platformer again? Like, these games, I even love the old ones. Fantastic platformers. And now, after 10 years, I believe it's been like 10 years since Rayman Legends. It's been a while. Finally, now they're going to trot this out. Say, oh, we got the original creator back. He's involved. Please be excited. If they could actually pump out a good 2D Rayman platformer, I probably would be pretty hyped for that, especially with the creator coming back. But I don't know if I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Do they even have the money to make? And this game would be cheap to make. This just feels like, to me, desperation to try to get people excited and nostalgic for their brand again, because Ubisoft has taken a beating this year.
So these companies, they absolutely went woke and now they are going broke. They are so desperate that now they're like, oh, we're going to bring back all the games that you used to love. Oh, remember Rayman? You guys loved Rayman. You've been wanting a new Rayman forever. What, since like the PlayStation 2 era? I'm not joking. Okay, you want a new 3D Rayman? Okay, we've got you. We're working on a new 3D Rayman for you. Rayman 4 is on the way, everyone. Is it Rayman 4? I think 3 came out. Rayman 4 is on the way. Oh my gosh, yeah. Aren't you hyped for that? That's awesome, boys and girls. That's so cool. And this is the BS that we're getting from these people. Okay? They're digging into nostalgia. They're trying to build hype again because they moved away from a lot of these older series that helped to build the company and started going for cash grabs like Star Wars Outlaws that looks like maybe 2 generations behind No Man's Sky. And now that they're falling apart, they've lost 80% of their company's value. They went from something like a $13 billion company in 2019 to now trading for less than $1.5 billion. It's insane. The investors at Ubisoft, the people who invested in Ubisoft, which is a publicly traded company, are going absolutely ballistic right now. And Ubisoft's management is like, we're not woke, we're not pushing an agenda, even though they literally outlined in their documents, they've said it in interviews outright that they are pushing an agenda, that they are prioritizing only hiring people who come from a certain background and demographic. We're only going to hire women for these jobs. We're only going to hire minorities for these jobs, which means that you're not going to be able to hire the people that have the best skill sets to do the jobs, but you're hiring solely based on gender politics and representation. As a result, the quality of these games has diminished significantly. And a lot of these people who've been spurned, who've been hurt by the gaming industry, who've lost their jobs, they're not coming back. They will never go back to working for companies like Ubisoft. They will sit at home, drink coffee, and make their own games using various engines that exist. And new engines are going to come along. Like Unreal right now is trying to push this whole diversity thing where you need to design your characters so that they don't look like, they're not beautiful, they're more like with the wide jaws and everything like that for women, and they're not beautiful and they're not handsome for men. People just will just move away from that. People will just move away from that. These legacy companies that have decided to go down this path, let me tell you something. There's this idiot who messaged me, and he was like, "Oh, Angry, it's not the companies, it's the banks that are forcing all of these companies, and they have to do this, they have to go down the." And I read his message, but then this guy started to really harass me, even though I had read his comment in one video, and I was like, I just basically blocked him. I don't know. A lot of these companies are downright choosing to go down this path. Okay, it's not just solely money, and I'll tell you how we know it's not just solely money, and they're not being forced to, because Disney, when it came to like, as was it like Inside Out, Inside Up, or something, whatever one of those movies is, kids movie, they after the failure of Lightyear, they literally sent messages internally saying that they wanted to make this movie less GAY. Yes, they said actually make the movie less GAY. They did not want anyone to think that there were any references to the GLAAD community in the movie because they did not want to lose money. This only proves that these companies do not care about diversity, equity, inclusion. They are just trying to push a message. They're just trying to make money. They're just trying to pander to the so-called modern audience. That's what's happening right now. The problem is that the moment they let these jerks into their companies, they started hiring these consultants like Sweet Baby Inc., and they begin creating diversity departments. Once they're in there, it's hard to get rid of them. They're like the only way that it's like, it's not even solely just like a CANCER where you want to just cut it out. The problem is it's more like a parasite or little. It's a disease, all right, and it's kind of like a transmissionable disease. I don't want to actually say it. But for example, it's in the virus. It's like a virus, and it's hard to get rid of the virus because unlike unlike CANCER where you can cut it out, the virus is like it's in your brain, it's in your eyes, it's in your fingers. It can even hide in your bones. It's bone cells. It's all over you. It's like once it's there, it's very hard to eradicate it. And the only way to do that is to basically have someone like Elon Musk. What we saw, what he did with Twitter, where he basically cut it out from the inside out. But guys, he skimmed. He cut that company down to the very bare bones, and then we were like, "Oh my gosh, there's no more firing. He can't do any more firing." And then he did even more firing. Okay? And I guarantee you, if he needs to, he'll continue to do even more firing. It's kind of like a functional cure. It's like the disease. We don't know if the disease is fully gone from there, but with what he's done, it definitely has made a huge difference. So we can't say if the disease is fully gone, nor can we say if they can't become reinfected, because they definitely can. But that's the only way that you could have to go about it, is where you have to start becoming ruthless, and only the best and brightest remain, only the most functional remain, and you cut everything away. And you don't give a damn about diversity, equity, and inclusion. These companies right now, they're all trying to push microtransactions. They're trying to put ads in your video games because they are so desperate for every nickel and dime. They are desperate for the modern audience. Look at what Nintendo is doing, where they've added pronouns to the games now. So Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, they don't say she in the game, they say they and them. And I had this simp come after me saying, in the trailer, they said she, save Hyrule only the way she could, which was woke in and of itself, trying to show that they're trying to shift to a modern audience. Oh, do better, angry. Bro, they are shifting away from us. They are shifting towards this modern audience and propaganda. They use they and them in Zelda Echoes of Wisdom now, instead of saying she and he and she. So it's a small change, but it's clear that they're heading in this direction. And don't get me wrong, we've always wanted a Zelda game that stars Zelda. Okay, it's her damn game. But the fact of the matter is that we are clearly seeing a major shift towards companies, even if it's a small thing, basically trying to pander to a modern audience and avoid upsetting the modern audience. All of these people are going broke and homeless. Like Kim, whatever her name is, some of these people are going to end up in prison. I'm just being very honest with you. Like, something that people have been saying, I've been thinking it too, is that these companies, like a lot of these companies, including Sony, are probably washing dirty money right now. Because I don't see any other way for some of these companies to be surviving, right down to Sega. Okay? Like, I really feel like you need to start doing the numbers. Like, how is this company surviving? If there would be one industry where washing dirty money could be a thing, it would probably be the gaming industry. Okay, where it provide a very good cover. Oh, look how good things are going. Sony's like, things are going wonderful. Part of it is because they've been charging consumers so much, but half of all, 54%, earlier this year when they showed their numbers off, 54% of all PlayStation gamers were still on the PlayStation 4. 54%. And now older games that release on the PS5 exclusively, from third-party developers, now they're releasing those on PlayStation 4 as well. Like, it's becoming very apparent. We're almost in 2025, and games and PlayStation 4 is still getting releases in 2025, well into 2025, that yeah, it's not going to go away this generation. PlayStation 4 is never going to go away this generation. Okay? It's one of the preferred ways to play. And people who stuck with PlayStation 4 are going to continue to stick with PlayStation 4, because there's just no reason to upgrade to PlayStation 5. There's just not that many good reasons, and especially with services like Steam right now. The thing is, with Steam is, you don't own anything on Steam. Steam, sadly, is just a rental service. Those games are just long-term rentals. Sure, they've said at Steam, oh, if the company ever shuts down, we'll just press a button, and we can press a button, and all the DRM will just vanish. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. And if you don't keep your account in good standings, they can take your games away. If the publisher for the title doesn't want their games on the platform anymore, it doesn't matter if they've made sales or not. They can take your games away, and it can be deleted right from your library. It happens all the time. That's why I'm buying my games on GOG right now. I've already dropped almost $700 in just the last week on GOG, on games on GOG. I went way overboard, which is crazy, but it just feels so much different. I've tested it out, downloading the executables. I'm gonna have to set up a home server for myself because doing creating content for you guys, it takes a lot out of me, and not just out of me, but out of my hardware. I have a 1 terabyte hard drive on my MacBook Pro, but I'm realizing now that's running out. I mean, I'm down to like 500 gigabytes. So I'm gonna have to go and not just get an external hard drive, but I'm gonna have to set up a home server so I can have that networking set up, which will allow me to easily move things back and forth. And this will give me a lot more peace of mind because by doing this, I can store more videos for you guys of footage. Because I have to be kind of careful and think about how I'm doing these things. So it'll be a much nicer experience just setting up a home server. And I realize again, for me personally, like sticking with PlayStation for so long, it was just laziness. It was absolute and utter laziness. I know quite a lot about tech. I have a background in computer science, software engineering, but I will tell you, just in the last couple of months, beginning to get serious about PC gaming, especially after they released the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I was like, yeah, I'm done with this crap. I am so over it. It just opened up an entirely different world. I had already begun moving over to PlayStation to PC gaming. I have a massive library on Steam, but just knowing that I don't own it, and it can be taken away from me at any time, that bothers me a lot. You don't own those games. So I started, after the PlayStation 5 was revealed for $700 in the US, 800 in Europe, and you don't even get a stand, and these games are being sold for $70 now, sometimes even more than on Steam. It just made me realize I can't do this anymore. And I began focusing a lot of my energy more on PC gaming. And now, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be picking myself up a new gaming laptop very soon as well. I'm gonna be getting myself what I actually want is a G16. So it's an Asus G16 2024 and with an RTX 4070. 4080 would be nice, but it's a minimal upgrade. But more so, I'm focusing on the RAM. I'm looking at a Ryzen 9 and then 32 gigabytes of RAM, DDR. I think it's DDR5 RAM, and then 4070 GPU. And I think, and that would be super cool for me. It's gonna have an OLED. It has an OLED display, and I'm probably gonna wait until Black Friday to try and get that because I looked at the pricing of it. I was gonna pick up a 14 inch. I was gonna pick up an Omen. I forget the exact name of it, but it's made by HP, and I was gonna pick that up recently. I was gonna pick it up today actually, and then I decided against it because it was a really good deal. It was only like 1,100 or $1,200. It was somewhere around there, around 1,200. But then after taxes, it'd be around 1,347, and with taxes, and then on top of that, adding a protection plan to it. I just realized now I'm looking at like $1,500. When you get into that range, I could pick up a G4, a G14, and then if I'm gonna go for a G14, why not go for the G16? So I decided, like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait because the G16 is not even on sale right now, and it's like $2,300. So I'm gonna wait until Black Friday to see if I can pick up the G16, and if it gets cheaper, and I'll pick it up around then. Even if it does not go down significantly in price, then I'll still pick it up. But I'm gonna wait until around Black Friday to see if the G16 is a bit cheaper. But that's like where I'm at right now. And I've had to learn so much and basically study and learn the things that I should have learned a long time ago. Because I'm a very tech guy. I'm very good with AI. I develop crypto. I know so much, and yet the more I go into like despair, the less I realize, the less I actually know. So that's a very, very big factor. And I think a lot of people are going in that pattern where if you want to own something, you're going to have to put in some work. If you want to own a home, you're going to have to put in some work. A lot of people are very lazy today, and that's why things are going downhill. You will own nothing and be happy. If you own nothing, you will not be happy. The people that are really going to fall into this trap are going to be Gen Zers because they're very lazy and they think that the world owes them something. And I know that it's hard, but they're looking back at like the baby boomers, era, and they're like, I want that. That's what I deserve. The baby boomers pillaged the country. The baby boomers stole everything. It's not the inflation that we're experiencing is not natural. This is all a result of the actions of the baby boomers, and they're still pillaging the economy. They're not good people. They're really not good people. So if you want something, you're gonna have to fight for it. And I was surprised what can happen when you fight for things, the change that actually can occur. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. YouTube has been reducing or even eliminating ad revenue on many of my videos. If you want to help keep the content free and support my work, please consider becoming a paid subscriber in the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Inside, you'll get top tier expat and passport bro travel tips, digital nomad guides, passive income strategies, pop culture and geek culture commentary, and hard hitting manosphere content. Free subscribers have access to videos, podcasts, articles, and the community chat, plus receive the passive income blueprint and digital nomad blueprint just for joining. Paid subscribers unlock even more value, including exclusive guides like the How to Build an Online Business in 24 Hours ebook, wealth building blueprints, and crypto updates. Join us today by clicking the link in the description and take your journey to the next level.
I mean, really? Beyond Good and Evil 2? You're still making it, huh? After 16 years? And Rayman. Oh, you're making another Rayman game magically. After 10 years? What? I don't know if I believe you. I don't know if I believe you. And apparently this guy, Encel, the guy who made the game, was under investigations for allegations of behavior that led to toxic workplace conditions, which he refuted and called fake news in an Instagram post. He's kept a mostly low profile since, though he did pay tribute to Beyond Good and Evil 2 creative director Emily Morrell, who died in 2023. Yeah, I don't know. Still making, I don't know if I believe these people. I just think this is funny. Yet now, while you're at your lowest, you're talking about Rayman Legends, which came out in 2013. I have great memories of playing that game, especially with friends. Fantastic game. Yeah, you're now finally pulling out. This seems like they want good press. Now, hey, if they could make a solid Rayman Legends game, a follow-up, I'll be all about it, but we'll see. Will the company even be around to continue with these decisions? Because I don't think the management that's in place is going to be there in a few more months.
I mean, let's just make it very, very clear. They are so desperate right now. They are reeling. Okay, they've destroyed the company, and now they are banging around wildlessly and endlessly trying to find a way to survive. Okay, because everything is flopping. All of that woke garbage. They said, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And what the consumer is doing is the consumer is choosing not to buy it. And yet, many of these companies won't learn their lessons. Like, these games are just disgusting to look at. The character models are just disgusting to look at. And all of these people are going to lose their jobs. It's such a level of irresponsibility. That's why, guys, from the ashes, something else will arise. People are going to have to say, no, we're rejecting this, we don't want it, and we're going to fight for the things that we do want, and we're going to vote with our cash. We're not just going to surrender, we're not going to just take it. We're going to fight, we're going to fight, we're going to fight. Because they want you to feel demoralized. They want you to feel like you have no power. They want you to feel like you have no voice. These are horrible, nasty, very evil people. But nothing lasts forever, and it's very easy. I shouldn't say easy, but it can happen quite quickly where the tides change rapidly. Sometimes it feels like a false positive, like, oh, things are changing. They're not really changing, or they're not changing fast enough or soon enough. But it can also happen where, just like this, in an instant, things begin to shift rapidly because of the changing in basically what people are willing to tolerate, as well as governments and a variety of other factors. Or you hit and guys, sometimes it's even the state themselves, where the state is like, okay, yeah, we've gone to a place where we cannot survive, so now we need to start going rapidly in the other direction, or we won't survive. Because the state's job is to focus on the state. But if the state ends up in a place where it can no longer survive unless it starts to shift in a different direction, people will be shocked and surprised what the state will actually do. So if moving towards more conservative ideologies and values are and listening to what people actually want versus going towards these liberated women, policies that liberate women and help to grow simp culture, they will shift away from it if it benefits them. It's all about what benefits the state. So don't be shocked if these things can happen literally overnight. And when they do happen, there's tons of crying and screaming and hollering, but it really doesn't matter because they throw out all of the people who are responsible for these things, and then they have to bring in like a fresh group of people who are going to get things back to normal, just like what we saw happen with Twitter. Even look at Facebook, where they've been firing rapidly. Mark was like, there's a bunch of people who don't belong here. And don't get me wrong, I'm not praising Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think he's a very good person. I think he's a very dangerous person, and I think he belongs, probably behind bars. But I'm just giving you that point. As they start to buckle down and change the narrative as soon as it no longer benefits them, and that's really how it works in many cases. And I actually have another video here from Wagner Knows Why, and it discusses the crisis in the gaming industry, flopping remakes, remasters, and a bankrupting Ubisoft. So he actually goes further into it. His channel will be linked in the description, so you can go check him out and support him. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Is gaming flopping out of existence? It seems like that's the case with Ubisoft, as it shutters one of its better games that came out, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. And of course, its failure is reflecting back on what we're seeing in the entirety of the gaming industry, where we're seeing titles that, no matter their makeup, are failing because the overall design is following the tropes of the modern audience. And I think that's the exact thing that we're seeing with Prince of Persia here, and its overall franchise ending and its studio being disbanded, because this was a game that was following the trends to the T. And I'm talking about the main character and his overall design. You can just see how he looks and has the same haircut that we always see with this type of franchise, the Killmonger cut, which is something I absolutely hate in the modern gaming industry. And we see it almost every single character, whether it's animation, whether it's Spider-Man 2, or whether it's any fighting game. We see the Killmonger cut everywhere, and I think this is the persistent thing that gamers are tired of, seeing the tropes within the industry occur again and again. And if you don't know what I'm talking about Killmonger from Marvel's Black Panther, who had the legendary haircut that we see now exhibited in most video games that come out nowadays. But Prince of Persia is not the only game that's failing. It seems like everywhere you turn in the gaming industry, there's a flop or a major disaster, with a AAA title coming out to underwhelming numbers into the disaster of an entire gaming studio. And nothing's different with the Until Dawn remaster that just recently come out to a whole host of criticism and overall aggravation from the fan base, from the bugginess of the game to the overall unimpressive upgraded graphics. And this is the industry standard nowadays, where we're getting remakes, reboots, and overall remasters that add nothing to the game that we once so loved, and maybe even tear that game apart. And I think what we're seeing with Until Dawn is the former, because it seems like it's pretty much the same game, which is a pretty bad situation if you were looking forward to seeing this game actually be remastered. But then again, why would you remaster a PS4 game that already looked amazing? And that is what a lot of people are saying about the Until Dawn remaster. And I have to say, the Steam numbers are showing that disdain from the fans. And that's what I have to say about this game. Not too many people are playing it. We had peak numbers of over 2,600 people playing at its initial release, but average peak for this game is around 1,500 people, which is showing that we're not getting the money's worth for the studio that has developed and put time into actually putting this game into place, putting out a worse product for the value of the game players at a whopping $60. I don't know how they're going to get their money back. Then again, maybe the lack of development in the game is reflecting how much little time they actually put in remastering the game. Just looking at some of the comparisons of the upgraded and the downgraded graphics from the PS4 to the PS5, you can't tell which one is the remaster and which one is the actual original title. A lot of people would say the upper one is the remaster, but no, the bottom image is the remaster, and it just doesn't look as impressive, as smooth, and as detailed as what we would would expect from a remaster with upgraded graphical power. And that is not the case with Until Dawn. It's a lower grade game that is producing less value for the players that are out there to buy the game. So it makes sense that it's not having the same amount of Steam players. Of course, you can add console and all these other systems. Maybe it has a little more player count over there, but you can actually just purchase this game pre-owned if you have the physical disc copies online and get something cheaper. So what is the purpose of this graphical upgrade if it looks like a downgrade? And I think that's essentially what we're seeing with the images, where I think the overall PS4 version is actually better than what we're seeing on the PS5. So it makes no sense to actually get that graphical upgrade. And this brings me back to the topic of what's happening in the gaming industry right now, where we're seeing continuous downgrades and downshifts in the overall quality of the games that are coming out right now. You can just add Until Dawn in the trash heap of flops and overall disasters that have come out this year. You have, of course, Skull and Bones, Dustborn, Star Wars Outlaws, Kill the Justice League, Concord, the biggest flop in history. You have so much titles coming out, and it makes you think, is this the industry for the future of gaming right now, where we consist of remaster, reboots, remakes, or overall divisive, politicized video games that have no intention of actually entertaining the gamer? That seems to be the case right now of what we're seeing in the gaming industry, where it's all about the easy paycheck or the easy way to pander, and both sides lead to bankruptcy apparently. And that's what we're seeing right now with the remake of Until Dawn, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of these titles that are coming out that are failing, and is making you think, has there ever been this amount of failures in the video game industry in the past? I think sure, there were a lot of titles that weren't that good, that weren't that praised, that were of course flops in their own, but at such a substandard level, I think even the bad games of the past were still functional and playable. And that's just simply not the case with a lot of games that are being released right now, where they're not functional, where they're not playable, where the skill set and design quality is downright low grade. And I think that's what we see with a lot of titles that have come out recently. And when we look and compare of what came in the past, we kind of have a stark difference of overall skill and talent. And that's why you can make these comparisons, where I'm looking at PS4, PS5 graphics, and I see the shine on the PS5, but it seems like the quality and skill and depth of talent that went into Until Dawn just seems starkly more impressive to me as we even look at the comparisons. Even though I can see that a graphical power show itself, it feels like there's more care and talent within the quality of the game that came from the PS4, and they understood the horror genre. This feels like someone's trying to use the graphical output because all they have is lighting. That's why there's so much light in a horror game, where I'm thinking, this is not how a horror game's supposed to work. We're supposed to be in the dark and the shadows, and that is limiting for someone that is wholly depending on graphical output to make a quality game. And that's the situation that we're seeing here, even with some of the looks and feeling of some of the characters. I feel like some of their facial structures have been downgraded to look more unattractive and unappealing, in line with what we've been seeing in all Western games, where we take some subtly attractive female and make them hideous and beyond ugly. And I think,
and you know what's really interesting? You can look at guys like Phil Spencer. You look at the administrators at Sony. They all know this. They can all see that we hate these games. We hate how ugly these games are. They hate the character models in these games. It disgusts us. It grosses us out. And then you'll have these lunatics at IGN, you cannot spell IGN without ignorant, that are celebrating diversity when these games look like absolute crap. And you have nothing but soy boys and, and women who are just demanding that you pander. This is why I say that, sim culture is such a serious thing. The Sims are coming after me. They're basically trying to find out, oh, you need to show your face. How many girls do you have? How many girls are you cycling through? Cycling through what, bro? I'm busy getting my money right now. Guys, these are the same good-for-nothing individuals who try to convince men that you don't have a value or any purpose as a man if you are not able to reproduce, if you're not able to have children. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you achieve in life. None of these things matter. Your sole purpose as a man is to replicate, is to survive and replicate, and you survive so that you can replicate. That's it. There's nothing else. If you do not replicate and leave a genetic legacy, then you've basically never existed. These are sick individuals. These are disgusting. The simp is nothing more than a disgusting, evil, pathetic little worm. Guys, it is our enemy. The simp is our enemy. Someone said in the comments, stop calling them human when they are not human. The simp is our enemy. And there was a comment from one of these little punks where I called them traitors, and they said, when was I ever on your side? When did I say I was ever on your side? They were never on our side, okay? There's a difference between men who just don't know, who are ignorant, and once they are aware of things, they change, versus men who they watch my videos, they watch all of these videos, they're all over the Red Pill community, and then they torment us and harass us because this is how they survive. This is their method of survival. They know exactly what they're doing, okay? They don't actually care about men, women, humanity. This is their means of survival. If you actually cared about women, you would not be encouraging women to go on to OnlyFools and LonelyFans and busted wide open for $3.99 a month, and then celebrating it and saying that they're fine and no one cares, and they're mad. These women are fighting husbands and getting into quality relationships, which is a complete and utter lie. And now you have idiots like Bad Baby, who made over $50 million on OnlyFools, saying that the men who signed up to her OnlyFools when she turned 18 should all be in jail now. And it's like, bro, you made over $50 million. You had no problem when you were putting out there for all of those simps, okay, for all of those sickos. But now that you made your money, now that you have more money, you said to yourself that you can spend in this lifetime. Now you're a victim. Like, what kind of disgusting and sick society do we live in? That's why I said don't argue with women. Don't put the blame on them. The people who did this have to be held accountable. Don't get me wrong, but the people that we should be focusing on are the simps. Because without men, women in this world are powerless. You guys don't understand this. Women have privilege. They don't have any power. A woman has zero power. The average woman has no power. Okay? It's the truth. Women are powerless in this world without men. They have privileges that are given to them by the state, as they are agents of the state. Simps as well are agents of the state. And they are rewarded for demoralizing men, for working to reallocate wealth and resources from men. They are rewarded for these things. This is the reason why many of you don't notice it. Simps can say horrible things about women. They can basically suffer no social consequences for things that normal men can't get away with, because they are basically agents of the state. So if they go after a woman who does not agree with their social narratives or anything, and they say the most terrible things that would definitely not be socially acceptable, it's, if it were directed at any other woman, but because they are conservative women, or because they don't share in these views as the leftist lunatics, now it's open game for them, and they can have their lives destroyed. They can be thrown in prison. They can be ruined because they are refusing to play their role as agents of the state. Look at some of these women who got involved in the whole, got in the whole, I don't want to say Jan 6 thing, but basically they got involved in the whole election thing where they were saying, well, the elections were not proper and blah, blah, blah. They're like facing 10 years in prison. So basically, as I said, women have privileges. They don't have power. The thing is that all of those privileges can be taken away very quickly. The pendulum can swing rapidly to the other side, or much faster than people realize, as we begin to watch a massive social decline. And the people who are responsible for this, they have now set the narrative. Guys, do you know what the new saying is? When they go low, we go lower. That's the honest to goodness truth. When they go low, we go lower. We will go in, we will find the lowest. We will go as low as it takes. Oh, well, then you will destroy yourselves. Okay? You're not a very good person. Who are the people that are saying these things? The simps. And don't get me wrong, there's simps on all sides. The simps. You see, guys, you have to fight fire with fire. You have to go lower than your enemy will go. All right? The only thing that matters is survival. You can clean things up afterwards. Oh, clean things up after you have lost your soul. Listen to the religious people. All right? These are people who are trying to control you as well. These are the same people that are complaining because men don't want to work and do these crazy jobs anymore. And instead, they're basically leaving the workforce and focusing on themselves and their own happiness and making just enough money to survive and thrive. And they're like, these men are lazy. These men are godless. You're supposed to find a woman. Don't try to understand women. Find a woman who you can serve and ask how can you serve her better. These are the disgusting simps that you find in organized religion and around society. Don't trust them.
Like even this character, Emily, is done in the same way of what we've seen in previous titles within the Western game industry, like Fable, like Star Wars Outlaws, of course, like Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. All these figures that have been uglified to match a politicized philosophy of body positivity for those that can't attain a beauty standard that shouldn't be even a subject for a video game player just trying to escape fantasy, but that's beyond the point right now. This is a shockingly dangerous trend that is leading to an overall disaster for the gaming industry, where we continuously have flops that no game player wants to buy, and we're having remakes that no game player wants to even see be remade. And I think for anyone hearing about remaster now, a remake of a game, we kind of hesitate going, oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to change? What are they going to make into a lower quality, more uglified version, and kind of what story elements they're going to rip apart? And I think Until Dawn is showing that same standard as they swap and change the overall camera angles to appease those that don't want to subjectify women in any way. So we only have older over the shoulder angles nowadays, no lower angles or anything that may be perceived as showing some sort of femininity for any of the characters. So it just has these ridiculous angles that it's now taking to conform to the modern audience trend. So
I mean, I agree 100% that this is a trend towards basically destroying every male space and anything that men enjoy. They don't want men to be happy. They want men to be miserable. They want men to be demoralized. Guys, these individuals, simps, women, and the so-called liberated woke left and the liberated woman, they don't like us. They are miserable. They hate to see us happy. That's why they don't like us seeing us play video games, because it is our last retreat. It is the last place that we have right now to retreat away from the garbage that's happening in society. Once upon a time, it was sports. They took that away from us. What about the gym? They took that away from us. Everything has been taken away from us. Society has been taken away from us. So men are retreating from society. And now they're like, okay, so where are the men? They're playing games. Okay, we need to take that away from them as well. Okay, the ultimate goal is for women to monitor us, agents of the state to monitor us in our homes and torment the living heck out of us so that we just basically keep working and providing for society, a society that absolutely HATESs us until we pass away, until we are no more. We are not of this world anymore, because there is no value to being a man of virtue. There's no value to being a man who tries to serve your society. Your society does not like you. It resents you, and it wishes you were not here. It is a very sad reality, but as soon as more men realize it, the better. Okay? Do not fight for someone or something that HATESs you. Stop it. Don't do it to yourself. What do you guys think regarding all of this? These companies are insanely desperate right now. They're going bankrupt, and I'm not just making that up. So many of these DI companies have gone bankrupt this year already. Ubisoft is facing bankruptcy. One of the companies that were a part of the whole Sweet Baby Inc. brigade, and they were like, oh, we're big supporters of Sweet Baby Inc., and Sweet Baby Inc. is guiding our company to profitability. They've basically had to fire all of their staff members. Their company is now shuttering, and there's nothing they can do. They can be, the founder of the company, who was like big on Sweet Baby Inc. and diversity, equity, inclusion. He's just like sitting there right now looking like a complete idiot. Looking like a complete and utter idiot, because now his project, what he's worked for is collapsing. And many of you think that other companies are going to go and they're going to be able to infinitely finance themselves, like the banks will just give them more money. That's BS. That's total BS, guys. Cash is becoming thin right now. People are living off credit. Come on, y'all. What do you think, guys? Do you agree that we're watching a modern day gaming collapse, and the indie companies and companies in the East and like China and South Korea are going to rise creating games that players want. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. And walking away. And cheers.